My boss called me worthless during a company meeting. Laughed that I'd never amount to anything. 6 months later, he begged me for a job. Yesterday, my phone exploded with 41 missed calls. Some people are defined by their lowest moments. I was about to redefine everything. Derek Thompson, 42, senior executive at Global Innovations. The kind of guy who built his career by crushing others. And I was about to become his worst nightmare. The company meeting was supposed to be routine. Performance reviews. Budget discussions. But Derek had other plans. "Michael," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "you're possibly the most worthless employee we've ever hired. Some people simply aren't cut out for success." The conference room went silent. Colleagues avoided eye contact. Some even smirked. I'd been with the company for 7 years. Worked overtime. Developed innovative marketing strategies. Brought in major clients. And this was my reward. "Maybe," Derek continued, his voice dripping with contempt, "we should discuss your future. Or lack thereof." I didn't respond. Didn't argue. Just listened. What Derek didn't know was that I'd been preparing. Quietly. Strategically. Some people believe in immediate confrontation. I believe in letting betrayal expose itself. Derek had no idea what was coming. And I was about to become the architect of his own destruction. Revenge is a science. And I was about to become its most precise practitioner. The corporate world is a network of connections, rumors, and carefully guarded secrets. Derek thought he'd won. He had no idea what was coming. My first move was quiet. Systematic. I began documenting everything. Every email. Every performance review. Every single piece of communication that could prove his professional misconduct. An old college friend, Sarah, now worked in corporate headhunting. Confidentially, I told her during a carefully orchestrated coffee meeting. Each word calculated. Each piece of information precisely placed. The company's history became my obsession. Old project files. Financial records. Performance metrics. Digital footprints are never completely erased. I discovered a pattern. Derek had been strategically positioning himself for years. Subtle manipulations. Carefully placed conversations. The kind of corporate maneuvering that would make a political strategist proud. My professional network became my silent weapon. Quiet conversations. Strategic inquiries. The kind of information gathering that happens in the shadows of corporate hallways. The most interesting discovery came from an old email chain. Derek had been systematically undermining key employees. Stealing credit. Manipulating performance reviews. Creating a toxic environment that protected only himself. Colleagues who had once feared him started to notice something was off. Subtle questions. Careful investigations. The perfectly crafted image was beginning to crack. I wasn't doing anything dramatic. I was simply letting the truth gather momentum. The most dangerous predator isn't the one who attacks immediately. It's the one who understands that true exposure comes from patience. Derek thought he was running a perfect corporate con. He was about to learn that perfect plans are often the first to fail. The landmines were set. All I needed was to watch them detonate. Precision is an art form. In corporate warfare, it becomes a devastating weapon. Over the next 3 months, I became a ghost in the corporate world. Derek continued his power play, completely unaware that I was dismantling his carefully constructed lie, piece by careful piece. My first strategic move involved the upcoming annual executive review. I knew corporate politics loved details, and details were my specialty. I reached out to Marcus, a senior HR consultant who owed me a favor from a past project. Confidentially, I told him during a carefully planned dinner meeting. Casual. Calculated. Nothing direct. The company records became my obsession. Performance metrics. Client feedback. Internal communications. Derek had been clever, but not clever enough. I discovered a pattern of professional misconduct that would make most corporate ethics boards salivate. Falsified client reports. Unauthorized budget manipulations. Systematic harassment of key employees. The kind of corporate sins that destroy careers. My network of industry contacts became an unexpected intelligence gathering team. Quiet conversations. Strategic inquiries. The kind of information collection that happens in the shadows of professional networking events. The most interesting discovery came from old project files. A trail of small ethical breaches. Potential conflicts of interest. The kind of professional sins that could unravel entire careers. Each piece of information was another nail in his professional coffin. My background in strategic consulting became my secret weapon. Late nights weren't suspicious. Detailed research wasn't out of character. I used every professional skill I'd ever developed: data analysis, forensic investigation, strategic planning. The most dangerous predator isn't the one who roars. It's the one who watches. Who waits? Who plans? Derek thought he was running a perfect corporate con. He had no idea I was writing the script to his own destruction. By the time I was done, he would lose everything. Not just his current position. Not just his professional reputation. But his entire carefully constructed corporate facade. This was going to be a masterpiece of professional exposure. And I was just getting started. Precision is an art form. In corporate warfare, it becomes a devastating weapon. The first crack in Derek's perfect narrative came during the annual Global Innovations Leadership Conference. I'd been quietly preparing for months, gathering every single piece of evidence with the precision of a surgical instrument. The conference center was my chosen battlefield. Derek arrived confident, his tailored suit a shield of perceived corporate superiority. He had no idea the walls were about to come crashing down. I presented the evidence systematically. Falsified performance reports. Unauthorized budget manipulations. Systematic employee harassment. Each slide was another nail in his carefully constructed corporate coffin. Marcus, my contact from HR, was in the audience. His presence was my silent weapon. Each raised eyebrow was another blow to Derek's credibility. These performance inconsistencies, I said quietly, pointing to a series of suspicious internal documents, aren't just questionable. They're a fundamental violation of corporate integrity. The executive team watched in stunned silence. The documentation I'd meticulously compiled told a story Derek never intended to be told. Overlapping ethical breaches. Strategic manipulations. A pattern of corporate misconduct that went far beyond simple management failures. Derek tried to interrupt. To spin a narrative. But the evidence was overwhelming. Colleagues who had once feared him were now looking at him differently. Whispers. Careful glances. The perfect professional image was crumbling in real time. I hadn't done anything dramatic. I'd simply let the truth speak for itself. Some people believe in confrontation. I believe in letting evidence do the heavy lifting. Derek thought he was running a perfect corporate con. He was about to learn that perfect plans are often the first to fail. The first domino had fallen. And I was just getting started. Professional reputations are like spider webs, delicate, interconnected, and easily destroyed. Derek's carefully constructed corporate network began to disintegrate faster than he could manage damage control. The industry WhatsApp groups, LinkedIn networks, and professional forums became a battlefield of truth. Colleagues who had initially supported his leadership started asking uncomfortable questions. The kind of questions that don't have easy answers. My mentor from a previous consulting firm became my unexpected strategist. I always thought something was off, he confided during a carefully arranged coffee meeting. His observations were like precision tools, cutting through Derek's carefully constructed facade. The professional respect and potential leadership opportunities Derek had been pursuing started evaporating. Emails became shorter. Meetings were cancelled. Professional relationships he'd spent years building were disappearing overnight. Professional social media became a minefield. Screenshots of unethical communications. Detailed evidence of corporate misconduct. The perfectly curated professional profile was crumbling in real time. Industry networks began to see the truth. The late-night strategy sessions. The hushed conversations. The pieces started falling into place. His closest colleagues were the first to truly break ranks. Whispered conversations at industry events. Careful sharing of discovered inconsistencies. His protective shield was crumbling. I didn't do anything dramatic. I simply let the truth do the heavy lifting. Professional networks began to collapse. Associates who had once praised his leadership were now asking hard questions. Investigations were launched. Reputations were at stake. The most dangerous strategist isn't the one who attacks immediately. It's the one who understands that true exposure comes from patience. Derek thought he was running a perfect corporate con. He was about to learn that perfect plans are often the first to fail. The professional web was unraveling. And I was watching it come apart, thread by careful thread. Some professional careers end with a whisper. Mine ended with a calculated storm. The formal investigation was nothing short of a strategic masterpiece. I didn't just want to expose Derek. I wanted to dismantle everything he had built. My evidence was comprehensive. Corporate fraud. Systematic professional misconduct. Repeated ethical violations. The kind of detailed investigation that would make a corporate ethics board weep with professional satisfaction. His legal team tried every trick. Character assassination. Claims of professional rivalry. Attempts to paint me as a bitter employee trying to destroy his success. I let the documents speak for themselves. Falsified performance reviews. Unauthorized budget manipulations. Systematic employee harassment. Conflicts of interest. Each piece of evidence was another nail in his professional coffin. Marcus, my contact from HR, became my primary witness. His reputation for integrity was beyond reproach. His analysis of my compiled evidence was devastating. The company's ethics review board's decision was unanimous. Not only would Derek face complete professional discreditation, but he would be barred from future leadership positions. The professional network he'd spent years building would be utterly destroyed. His professional partnerships collapsed. Ongoing project contracts disappeared. Future career opportunities were canceled. The corporate empire he thought he was building crumbled in real time. His own colleagues began providing additional testimony. Those hushed conversations, those moments of doubt, they became the final weapon in his destruction. I didn't seek revenge out of anger. I sought justice out of principle. The professional reputation he tried to build on others' failures would now be properly dismantled. Secured for those he'd wronged. Some people believe in dramatic confrontations. I believed in letting truth do the heavy lifting. Derek lost everything. His reputation. His career. His professional standing. His carefully constructed corporate life. And I walked away with something far more valuable. Integrity. And a promise kept to professional ethics. Some stories end. Some lessons continue. 3 years after the professional investigation, life looked completely different. My reputation in the corporate world was not just restored, it was elevated. The industry had changed. Not just because of my specific case, but because of the conversations it sparked about professional integrity. About the importance of ethical leadership. I'd learned something profound about corporate pursuit. About justice. About the kind of integrity that doesn't come from success, but from principle. Derek disappeared from professional circles. No dramatic exit. Just a slow fade into irrelevance. His attempts to rebuild his career were continually undermined by the comprehensive documentation of his misconduct. My professional network began receiving prestigious project opportunities. The business community that had once been silent was now speaking up about corporate ethics. The most interesting outcome wasn't my personal vindication. It was the systemic change my case had triggered. Companies started implementing more rigorous ethical guidelines. Leadership assessments became more comprehensive. The corporate world was becoming more transparent. I didn't feel victorious. I felt resolved. Some believe revenge is about making someone suffer. I learned it's about protecting professional integrity. About showing your true character when everything is falling apart. The phone calls from Derek eventually stopped. The desperate attempts to explain. To manipulate. To reconnect. I'd built something he could never touch. A life of professional integrity. A career legacy based on truth. Every challenge became an opportunity. Every setback, a lesson. The day I was honored for leadership excellence, I thought about Derek. Not with anger. Not with satisfaction. Just with a clear understanding that truth always finds its way. Some people are defined by their worst moments. Others are defined by how they rise above them. I chose to rise.